some of the slides I always carry around with me are Brookings slides. These are slides showing the cost of climate over the next 50 years. And the irony, which I try to tell my colleagues in the Republican side of things, is the counties and cities that are going to pay the highest price for inaction are ours, the red ones. I find that kind of ironic, you know? And certainly look at all those red dots down there in Florida. So I agree with Senator Coons. What he said is that we're trying to make headway to get, like St. Francis said, first seek understanding, then to be understood. Trying to get a few people to talk about climate, having a role. I always say to my Republican friends, go read the IPCC. You know, it's more nuanced than the newspapers say it is, liberal or conservative. Talks about man-made causes in terms of things other than just carbon. It talks about development. And I would say, look at the difference between how Houston recovered from its hurricane and how we recovered from ours. We were dry in 3 days because we've got trees and grass where the water could go down into. Houston is 60 square miles of parking lot. So there's a lot of ramifications to this in addition just to carbon. But I got to tell you, what the senator said and Adele said and the other lady that opened this up is, it seemed to me inevitable that if we can put less carbon in the air and beat those Paris goals, we'll be on the road to stopping a lot of really bad problems. In our area, sea level rise is existential, and I think probably Delaware. Since Delaware is the lower state than Florida, I just learned.
We are the lowest mean elevation state in America. One of those facts I stunned him with before we came out.
But so we have sea level rise directly related to acidification in the sea and the air. Well, you can measure all that stuff. I don't know how you can deny it anymore, you know? And then we have, in our area, a very strong problem with offshore drilling and the risk that might pose to our coast and estuaries. And I try to tell my colleagues that really in Florida, to one degree or another, everybody's an environmentalist, to one degree or another. But some aren't quite as far out there as maybe me and Senator Coons are. But we'll keep trying to push the understanding. And just last few weeks, we've had a few Republican leaders talk about climate change being real, talking about man having a role. So we'll just take those starts as we find them and try to move the ball down the field.